Start presenting our next speakers. So we now have a 20-minute fireside chat panel with two speakers from the startup crowd farming. We have Gonzalo Urculo, who's the founder, and we have Alexandra Rutnia, who is the CMO and head of digital strategy. They are from crowd farming, which is the first online platform for farmers all over the world to sell their harvest directly to final consumers. Okay. Please come in quickly. We have quite a few seats on this side of the room. Okay, perfect. So welcome again to this panel. We're talking about disrupting the traditional food supply chain. And we have Gonzalo and Alessandra from Crowd Farming, which is a startup that allows farmers all over the world to directly sell their harvest to consumers. And moderating this panel today will be Kieran Quilty, who's the Vice President of EMEA at Facebook. So welcome.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be in beautiful Madrid. I had the pleasure of watching Real Madrid last night, but I'm told not to mention it. It's too soon. So this is great. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Vice President of Facebook. I've been working with startups and scale-ups for actually nearly 10 years. I'll be 10 years of Facebook in March, so it's really great to be here with crowd farming. One of the things I've often noticed about great businesses, and a lot of people think that new startups and new businesses come from eureka ideas. But in reality, I think over 90% of all businesses come from doing an existing idea better as opposed to coming up with a new idea. And I think this is a great example of this. We have been farming and working land and in agriculture for hundreds, thousands of years, and you are taking a brilliant and innovative approach, applying technology to one of literally the oldest industries in the world and building a great new company. So really looking forward to the conversation. And just to kick off, why don't you tell us and give us a little overview around crowd farming? Tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, yeah. Crowd farming is a farmer-to-consumer food marketplace that aims at reducing food waste through on-demand production. Okay, so basically, when you are buying something in crowd farming, you are not just buying food; you are adopting something from the farmer, and this completely changes your customer experience. It also changes the farmer experience. So to put you in an example that I think is the most clear image that I can give you, you can adopt an orange tree from an orange farmer in Valencia, for example, and by adopting the tree, you take part of the production process. You know where your oranges come from. You can put face to the farmer. You can even go visit your tree and get to know the farmer. So it gives you a full of experience, and at the end of the season, you receive the oranges that you have been following the growing of these oranges. So the transparency, all the information that you get as a customer, it's amazing. No? Nothing to compare with the traditional market, no? Where you just buy oranges without knowing what have happened to these oranges before.
Yeah, there's this emotional link between a consumer and actually the product that they consume. So this is really amazing.
Amazing. So I'm a consumer. Today, I would go to my supermarket to buy some
Oranges.
farming produce, be that oranges, apples. But you've gone and built a platform to connect farmers directly with consumers. And is that just in Spain or?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, it started, I quit my job in 2010, and I became an orange farmer. And at this time, I realized how inefficient was the traditional food supply chain. No? Probably most of you know that 1/3 of the cultivation, 1/3 of the production that we are cultivating is going into waste at some point of the food supply chain. And this is because there is a huge gap between farmers and consumers. And this gap makes the food supply chain very inefficient. Okay? And this traduces that the supply of food is not matching with the real demand of this food. So we decided to make the food supply chain as simple as possible. And this is why the most simple food supply chain will be one that is just a farmer and a consumer. And we put them together. And the farmer, thanks to the adoption model, can predict the future demand of their food. So everything that is cultivated, it's already sold. That's fantastic.
Great. So there's, Alessandra, I said there's like real benefits here, both for the farmer and the consumer. This is a genuine classic platform play, right?
Exactly, because consumers, as we said before, they actually have the whole transparency they need to understand what they are consuming. They also support farmers, they support fair trade, they also support sustainable agriculture, because we work with farmers who are actually working towards this kind of techniques and practices. And farmers, as we said, first of all, they actually can plan their production, so much less food is wasted just on the very top of this funnel of the food production and distribution. And there is also one more amazing thing that they get feedback actually from consumers, because they do not get that in a traditional food supply chain. I think Gonzalo here has a great anecdote to
my grandfather used to be an orange farmer for almost 40 years, and he was selling the oranges through the traditional food supply chain. And in 40 years, he didn't receive any feedback from the final consumers. She didn't know how was he doing, because he was selling to the intermediary. And the arguments he was using to convince the intermediary to buy their oranges is not the same that we use to convince the consumers to buy the oranges. No? In my opinion, buying food nowadays is the most powerful daily routine that consumers have to impact in society and environment.
Brilliant. So this is good for consumers. They're getting great product, getting a sustainable product, right? It's good for farmers. They're matching demand with supply, eliminate the food waste.
That's right.
Yes.
How do the financials of all this work? Is this good for the farmer on margin on their side? Is it good for consumers? Is it good for you? There has to be a financial equation somewhere. How does all that work?
I like to call it win-win-winner.
Okay, nice.
We have a theory, yes.
Tell us about win-win-winner then.
Win-win-winner. There is the farmer that decides the price of the products. Usually in the traditional market, the price is fixed by commodities.
Yep.
Okay, and it's not the same. You don't have the same cost producing oranges in Spain that producing oranges in South Africa. Costs are much different. No? So there is also a win, that is the consumer that get all the information that he is asking for, all the traceability, and there is a winner, there is the environment, because the farmer, before start producing, asks to the customers, how many of you want me to produce an orange tree for you? I have, 2,000 orange trees. Okay, there is like 2,000 consumers that say, I want my tree, I want my tree, I want my tree. So after receiving the demand, he starts producing it, knowing the price, knowing that someone will eat these oranges. In the traditional supermarket, last season, 50% of the oranges were hanging in the tree. No one picked them.
Yeah. So I was on your platform last night in my hotel room, and I was checking out some orange tree farmers in Spain, but it's not just oranges, right? And I know we're using oranges as an example. So give us a sense around the scale. What kind of products are live? How many farmers around the world? Where are your consumers? Are they all in Spain, or are they all over the world? We'd just love a sense around scale.
Okay, so we kicked off this year with 13 farmers on our platform. Today there are more than 50 and counting. Actually, we have lots of them in the pipeline right now. The farmers come from 7 different countries. We are actually working in some geos more intensively in terms of business development. And as for the consumers, for now, due to logistics matters mostly, we are targeting the majority, I would say, of European geos. Our most important markets for now is Germany, is France, UK, and Spain slowly.
We are based in Spain, but in Spain we are not selling too much.
Yeah.
Most of the farmers come from Spain, but I think the North European countries are more, let's say, conscious nowadays, or they have been being conscious for more years than the Spanish customer. Also, Spain has been in a big crisis, and people didn't spend too much money in the food, so they were going just to buy cheap food. But in the other side, countries like Germany or like Switzerland, even Ireland or UK, they don't mind to pay a little bit more.
Yeah, I think consumer consciousness generally is a big trend we would see.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new skills here for a farmer, right? So if I'm historically been used to producing whatever I produce, the existing supply chain comes and picks up my produce and off it goes. But so there's must be new skills here for farmers.
Yes.
So how do they find this new route to market? What are the challenges that they'd face to send some oranges to Germany direct to consumer? That's new.
That's new. Yeah, the logistics is quite new. And I think the toughest part for farmers is not the logistics, because, they are really looking forward to find this direct channel. The toughest part for them is to understand the new role as vendor. They need to communicate. They haven't communicated before what they have been doing. No? They need to communicate almost every month and say, okay, the weather in Valencia last month was very rainy, so we try to motivate them and say, come on, communicate more. But they are not used to communicate and be so transparent. No? So
they are not used to, and I think also that they find their everyday chores like mundane, so they are really surprised when we ask them actually to tell us more about that, tell your customers about that, and they're like, that's not interesting. And it's like, yes, it is.
Because it would be interesting, and there'd be huge demand in the market for these kind of stories, but this is just a new skill.
Yeah. And they are just saying the good news, and we have seen that also the bad news are very strong to make this connection with the customer stronger.
Yeah,
no?
Absolutely.
So it's something
it's not
that
just a piece of plastic or a piece of fruit and plastic on a shelf. This is a real relationship with people who are farming, and that's their income, right?
You know about farming. Not always is good news. No? Every season is different.
Yeah.
I like to tell that this is not a fabric of oranges. We depend on nature, and some season the orange will be smaller. Some season, so trying. We need to spend a lot of time convincing the farmers that communicating, even the bad news, is really good for them.
Yeah. So this is a massive industry. You're talking loads of fruit, loads of vegetables, meat, chicken, dairy. What's next? How far can crowd farming and this new route to market, how big can it get? How fast can it scale? What's next?
Well, first of all, we want to become the feasible alternative in food sourcing in a very near future. For now, we have 50 projects. As I said, you can actually adopt an orange tree, a lemon tree, but it is still true that you cannot just, let's say, replace your supermarket purchase with your crowd farming harvest. So we are actually, targeting to that, to actually incorporate and have lots of farmers from different kind of products, as you said, to be able, to fulfill this demand. For
Everything
all.
could be crowd farming. No? You can. I mean, it's true. We have been. Can we crowd farm a cow? Yes, you can crowd farm a cow. Can we crowd farm? I don't know, a piece of a paddy, no? A rice paddy. Yes, you can adopt 10 meters of rice paddy, and you will receive like 9 kilos of rice. No?
Yeah.
So the thing about crowd farming is that the farmer can cultivate after the demand.
And how do you get over the consumer challenge around seasonality? So, I suppose my parents and my uncles and aunts come from farming, and I appreciate that actually a lot of real produce has a very finite season. Yet you can go into a supermarket and buy an orange 365 days a year.
You cannot. No.
Yeah, but I think this is actually about consciousness of customers, as you said before. Customers are more and more aware of different challenges that we have as a society, as a global society. And they actually, once you start to be transparent and when you start to talk about the process and when you start to talk about good and bad things that happen, they actually go along with that. And there is like this big educational challenge and value in the project because actually the consumers get to understand when the season for oranges is, what kind of products they can eat, and they are more willing to do that. So
we need to manage the customer expectation because in other industry, customers have everything right now, right here.
Yeah.
No? But for example, I always talk about the example of oranges because it's the one that I know the most. But sometimes you cannot pick because it's raining, and you have to be fast, communicate your customers. Sorry, it's raining, we cannot pick your oranges. And they feel sad, but at the same time, they say, okay, this is real. So they really pick the oranges just for me. So they feel special.
And from the farmer's perspective, they must be very supportive of a different idea, or are they? Maybe that's a leading question. Are farmers supportive of an alternative to the existing supply chain?
Of course, yes, they are. They are really looking for channels to sell directly. The more and more, there are more successful stories. In every country, we are like local heroes, that have been build this direct channel, and their neighbors want to copy him.
So we're getting away for time. Just to finish up, so roughly, how many countries are your consumers in? How many countries are your farmers in now?
Right now, we're talking about 25 European geos as for the customers.
Brilliant.
And for the farmers, more or less 7 countries now, especially as Gonzalo said, Spain. Well, we started here, so most of the farmers come from here. So if anybody wants an orange tree in Spain, there's your opportunity.
What a great idea.
Thank you so much.
You're not even founded that long, and you're already in 25 countries, exporting to 25 countries. Sourcing product from over 7 countries. So huge congratulations. I think this is a brilliant example of innovation and using technology to create jobs and, as you say, solve for consumer choice and sustainability. So congratulations, and please join me in a round of applause for crowd farming.
Thank you.